Okay, Gemini, I am seeing some really heavy energy here for you in this current energy. So, what I'm seeing with the High Priestess, I mean, for sure, the High Priestess in itself is someone who's a bit of a mystery, or there's some element that's not quite known yet. And I'll see how it plays out in conjunction with the other cards here. But I'm just going to go through it generally, and then we'll figure it out as we go through. No specific tower moment, but there is definitely some feeling of a lack mindset, some toxic energy for sure. Really in a space of trying to release, a lot of darker energy is what I would say. You're trying to sort of create a new version of you or a new situation here with the magician. But I feel like you're in the energy of working through your darker shadows, working through some tumultuous inner feelings at this point, because that High Priestess is a receptive kind of energy. It's also someone who's kind of feeling a little more, I don't want to say cut off. It's not so much isolation, but it's more along the lines of keeping thoughts to oneself, not really in that space of sharing. I feel like you are kind of operating in a very quiet sort of way in this period. Again, this is just the current energy. So the Hierophant, again, is a combination of all the queens. So this is really where you're trying to do all that work with your soul, your hidden intuitive aspects. It's also dealing with how you want to go forward with, taking actions, that spark of life and inspiration. It's dealing with all the practicalities. Like, I feel like you're looking at all of it right now. Your emotional sides as well as your practical steps and all of the wands and the intellect, all of it seems to be at play here. So it's almost like but you're doing it in such a toxic way that it's almost like it's hindering the process. It's hindering you from going forward because there's a lack mindset here. There's something here that's, feeling not good enough, feeling left out in the cold. All of those things go with that associated card, of course. But the High Priestess is about, those hidden parts of ourself that you're trying to work through that you're not really quite doing all that successfully, I would say, at this point, with the Devil energy coming out here. So I feel like, this is where you need to get some more positive energy. The King of Wands as well as the Queen of Wands. I mean, this is, could be power struggle in a coupleship or partnership or something like that, whether this is business or otherwise. But it feels like you are trying to struggle through to find a path of self-knowledge, but you're not able to really do this all that effectively at this time. Even in terms of finances, I feel like you really have to watch what's happening here, because there's a lot that you're still trying to make happen, but you're not successfully there yet. And it's almost like with the Hierophant energy, there needs to be a lot more structure at play in your life. There needs to be some kind of more formalized organization, something along that line. I do feel like this is a wise woman here, but again, she's, she, whatever, is still in that space of trying to find their truth. They're really having to work through, how to realize, who they are, what they want, how they want something in life. It's feeling detached from things emotionally. It's all of those kinds of factors. So I feel like you're not really seeing the full picture of something, because this is really an embodiment of a lot of amazing depths of understanding, but you're in the Devil energy right beside it, and it's like there's movement forward, but again, it's almost like there's a lot of anger or intensity around that seems to be kind of hindering the process. So I don't feel, usually when I see this card, coupled with other cards of intuition or maybe mental clarity, I would feel that's more positive. But right next to the Devil card, I feel like there's some factors that are hidden and are unknown to you that you just don't know at this time, which is probably causing you a lot of personal distress or some kind of unsettled scenario there. But anyway, like I said, the High Priestess is still someone, you're still in that space of trying to figure it out regardless. So again, wherever you are along that journey, I feel like you're trying to look at the issues, but I feel like you're just lacking something there. There's a bit of a disconnection still. You're not in the right mind. You don't have the full story. Scorpio could also be relevant for some of you here, but I just feel like you're keeping your own counsel, as they say, but not in a very, there's some toxic conversations going on here. I feel like you really need to, look at your emotional states, though, because, again, it's self-talk for sure, but emotionally, I don't feel like this is a growing period. There is advancement and some, or at least you're attempting to advance yourself in some way, but that Eight of Cups tells me you're not in that space to fully release something. You're trying to release it, but you're still kind of working through it, because there's some kind of reevaluating things and trying to figure out how you want to go forward and all of that. So you're trying to decide what to keep, what to leave, and it seems to be there's some issues around the finances, because there's a new cycle or a period of adjustment, something that you need to change. I would say more personally, because this is dealing with the subconscious, something that you need to change on a more personal level and able to, you have to seed it in a healthy way, and then you won't be so uncertain, because the Five of Pentacles tells me that you're not in a space here where you're feeling empowered. For sure, you're feeling unsupported. You don't feel like you feel like you are suffering in some way emotionally. I mean, this could also indicate some kind of level of homelessness here as well between that combination. But I feel like, you'd like to take some action here, but you're somehow bound in your own thoughts. There's also, a sense of paying more attention to your physicality, that kind of thing. But there is certainly a lack in a relationship of some sort. And I feel like because of that, it's kind of held you hostage in bondage of some sort, because you're not really seeing how you can go forward, and you need to release that. Not releasing necessarily that partnership, but releasing your thoughts about it because of the subconscious. I feel like it's not telling you get out and move on. I don't see the Four of Swords and all the rest of them out here. What I see is the subconscious aspects that you're struggling with. That's where you need to do the release here, because there's difficulty around that first. So, when you're not thinking clearly, it's really hard to evaluate a situation properly and do something that's in the right, that would be healthy and right for you to move forward. So again, I feel like you need to step back and try to review the situation with more clarity before so focus your mind not on what's not there and why isn't this happening or whatever, whatever the unsupported feelings are. This is where you really feel abandoned. You're not really getting to the root of your problems. You're trying to, but you're not really doing it successfully with the Devil card. You're still working through those demons, so to speak. So it's not to say you won't get through it, but right at this point, I just don't feel like you found the answer yet. So, but I feel like you're struggling with some very spiritual matters, and you're really trying to, find a way to go forward. As I said, find some grounding around it. When we get to the, sorry guys, one sec here. When we get to the card of the Magician, again, you're trying to create a new future for yourself. You're trying to, integrate all the things that the Magician has, all the tools, the skills, the abilities. You're trying to make all that happen. But right now, it's still kind of further out. You don't have a lot of... I feel like you're trying to organize things. You're trying to create more structure. There's still something in authority that seems to be relevant. Something around a long-term commitment. Something around that's really influencing it. Or something around tradition. All of those things come into play with that card. But either way, it's still something that isn't following through just yet. And I feel like with that Hierophant energy, this is, you have to do things in an established way. And I feel like, you don't really have a higher level of understanding of that just yet. You can't really come up with your answer. You can't really come up with, your solution, because you're still trying to find a way to bring everything together, is what I would say there. You haven't found a way to structure it all out yet. There's also, the energy of needing to, be stable. You need to be trying to think of strategies here with the Magician, but it's also, kind of highlighting things around needing a lot more could be counseling or support of some sort, but because this card can also indicate that, because you've got lacking emotional support over here. So the Hierophant could be, maybe bringing someone in regards to that, but you need to sort of deepen your spiritual values. You need to deepen something around your spiritual self. You need to do something that's traditional, that's going to help you to really ground yourself and become more stable, because right now you're still in this air, sort of trying to find a solution, and you're really diving deep with all this emotional stuff here. So I don't feel like you're in that space here where you can actually advance something just yet. You're not connected to something yet. You're not connected to, yourself in a way that is, with a lot of integrity, because the Devil card is not integrity. This is, feeling like you're in chaos, and over here this is about sticking to proven methods of making something work. So I feel like you're in the space of struggling with your own demons, so to speak. Don't mean that literally, but like I said, the Devil is definitely, being bound by energy, not being able to see through the trees. It's a sense of, kind of mental depression here as well, and really feeling like you are kind of out of your own, disconnected from yourself in some way, like I said. So I would say that's where you need to kind of focus your attention this period, or wherever it is, whenever you find this. You're just feeling stuck and bound to something right now, and it's really about you needing to find, could be dysfunctional relationship, but even still, it's still about finding yourself first in a situation, understanding your own fears, and not believing what you think to be true, but, believing that there is something worth salvaging here, because again, you're just not feeling very connected to anything, is what I see here. And I feel like you're making your choices based on kind of misdirection here, because it's not anything that is fully, and you need to have something more structured. You need to lay out more of a plan, sort of. You need more connection to tradition and not this self-destructive behavior over here. This is highly emotional and chaotic. So you really need to work on, finding a connection to yourself right now. So if you're feeling stuck and bound to something, obviously a strategy is to do the opposite to what you have been doing. Little mental exercises about how to kind of break yourself free from a situation, could be regrounding in energy. It's also about looking at a situation, saying, well, what if things, I didn't see it as bad as you're currently imagining it to be. How would you move forward if things were, feeling okay within yourself? So, see it from a point of, you don't want to work through every little nuance, but because sometimes going back so far, you just kind of recycle the energy and relive it again. But I still feel like the Devil energy is, something's holding you back. So unable to release that, you have to change something up in the body. Sometimes a lot more movement, break a habit, do something different, break your mindset so you're not trapped in the same cycle. Because again, when I see the High Priestess here with that King of Wands, I feel like you're trying to take some action forward. But like I said, just to kind of recap it here, there's a spiritual exploration that you're attempting to work through here. This is where you're trying to deal with the unconscious and the mysteries of life and all of the hidden meanings and all of that stuff. And this is where you're trying to figure out the deeper self. It's where you're trying to, as I say, you're trying to sort of decode, the things that you believe, things at a lower level, your spiritual growth. You're trying to define who you are again. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is really to be able to trust the answers within. It is self-discovery, but it's also looking at your situation in such a way that it is not, it's a journey. We can be attached to our thoughts and choose not to change anything, but then we won't get what we desire. We won't be able to move forward. So all you're doing is attracting more of the same negative energy and reliving it. So this is where you're ready to open up to something, in terms of your intuition. You are ready to embrace changes and, seeing a new phase in your life, some kind of renewal, and you're wanting to awaken into this space and, spiritually grow, but you can't quite do it with the Devil energy. Because you're not in that space yet. So again, when we've got the Devil and the King of Wands, I mean, again, that's sort of that energy around being confident, but it's almost, there's a strong intensity emotionally that's kind of holding you back here, like I said. So I feel like you have the strength and the energy to overcome the obstacle, of the current situation, but I also feel you're still feeling trapped and powerless in some way. There's, a bondage feeling, and this is kind of leading you away from your path. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of fears that you're working through here at this time. And I feel like you could be tempted to, do things that are not good for you on your path. But the King of Wands tells me that there is something that is leading you down a dangerous area here. There is something, there's a fierceness, there's a ferocity, there's a certain level of anger or something along that line that is kind of throwing things off. And I feel like you're tempted by this, but it's telling you this is a dangerous path. And this is something you have to overcome right now, because your thoughts are taking control of your stability. And I feel like that's going to compromise you in some way here. The energy of the Eight of Cups, of course, is you need to release some of the tension. It's a challenging time in your life. You are feeling trapped or stuck. You're not feeling fulfilled emotionally. There is some kind of financial and emotional hardship going on for you at this time. I feel like, even though personal growth and development is where you need to be able to get past this combination tells me that you're in a dark moment. And you have to find an opportunity for growth and transformation. And again, that's going to be releasing old thoughts, change your pattern, disrupt your thoughts, go out and do an activity, do something that is going to break you from this dark moment, because like I said, this is going to be leading you down a very negative path. It's not going to be positive, especially when I see it even showing more lack following that. But this journey, like I said, is still a combination of a very powerful combination. And of course, the Devil energy and the Hierophant is what your demons are, demonizing yourself or another. It's something that you're really trying to work through. So with perseverance, you'll sort of find your way through a struggle that has more meaning and fulfillment in life. But again, if you're looking at someone else to fulfill you, your situation won't be satisfactory, because you can't control other people. You can't control your situation. You can only control your response to something. So based on that, we have to find our own personal happiness within first before we are able to really see the value in a moment. And go forward. So it's almost accepting the worst so that you can go forward, and doesn't necessarily mean leaving everything behind, because again, it tells me that you're going down a bad path. But when I see the Magician here as well, this is still that energy of trying to pull everything in together to make something happen. So Magician, as well as the Hierophant, like I said, this is pretty significant energy here. You're trying to make something happen in terms of a very formalized long-term situation is what you're trying to work with. Anyway, so however that resonates for you, like I said, it does feel like there is energy here that's could be even spiritual in nature as well for a lot of you. Because this is still growth and enlightenment, but again, it's only after you kind of reach some kind of universal truth here with the Magician. So again, you're having to rely on some principles for this growth and enlightenment, some kind of sense of order, some kind of wisdom. You need to kind of reset yourself with some sense of counsel here. And again, whether this is religion, whether this is a counselor, whether this is a confidant, it's still something that indicates that there is some sense of tradition that you need to rely on to be able to write whatever it is that you're struggling with. So whatever it is, the power is inside, but again, you have to have some kind of guidance or inner wisdom here, or something that's coming through that, you need some kind of guidance. That's what this is telling me here anyway. So for whoever this resonates for, that's what I have for you, Gemini. Still working through some stuff there for you. And again, it's the toxic energy. Break the cycle, by getting out, doing something physically with your body. I feel like that'll get you out of your head and a lot of this bondage. Changing up something just in your day-to-day routine can make all the difference. And nature certainly does some great grounding. And even sometimes putting on music, you know, just to kind of disrupt our thoughts and go down memory lane or think something different. Either way, you have to shift. So that's what I have for you for the month of, I guess August is what we're at right now, but it's whenever you find this. So it's current energy for you, and that's where it is right now. Gemini, keep moving forward, never give up.